Jaylen Brown specifically.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't sign an extension, let's say he doesn't make All NBA, that extension is still, if he doesn't sign an extension, that's going to get him to presumably his regular, his 30% max.
Mm-hmm.
Is it time to be concerned about his future in Boston, or do you look at it as that? You already mentioned it. That contract, that extension is just going to be on the table if he wants to try and get to All NBA, so that he can get the $49 million max, whatever that number ends up being. It's not really a big deal, or do you kind of just do you get a little bit concerned if knowing that his 30% max could be on the table and he's not going to sign it? You get a little bit fidgety if you're Boston.
So here's how I think of this one, Dan, is if he doesn't make All NBA, Celtics offer him the full max that they can, and he's like, let's see if I make All NBA next year and qualify. You're good. If the only scenario, and I'll happily to come back on here and I'll run around my room here screaming and yelling with, in warning lights and flashing strobes and everything else. If he makes All NBA and he is super
Yeah.
max eligible and doesn't sign it, it's time to have a very difficult conversation about what are we doing in a trade talk. Because at that point, he becomes the second player after Kawhi Leonard, which was a different and weird situation. I think it happened long enough ago that now we've kind of forgotten to turn down the Supermax. No one else has turned it down because right, wrong, or indifferent. And I tend to be a lot more indifferent on this. Players take the money and then a year or two in, they'll ask for a trade.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I indifferent on that is for whatever reason, we have collectively decided as basketball media and fans that if a team wants to trade a player, that is perfectly fine. We have no issue with turn around and trade that player. But when a player's like, this isn't working the way I wanted, I want to be out of here, that the guy should be taken to the town square and drawn and quartered and that's it. And, end his life because that's, no more horrible thing because you entered into that contract. Well, so did the team. Why can the team do it? And I get the reasons why, right? It's a lot easier to root for this stable thing, which is the team is always here. So I'm always going to attach to the team. And they're in my hometown and they wear my jersey that I wear and all that stuff. So I get it, right? I get why we go that way. It's also why I don't have a problem with the fans. It tends to be younger fans that have attached to players. Like I a friend of mine, she's a huge LeBron James fan. And she was a Cavs fan because that's where he was first, then the Heat fan, and then a Cavs fan again, and now she's a Lakers fan because it's about LeBron for her. It's not about anybody else. So I don't have a huge problem with that either. If that's what brings you in as a fan, okay. It's a little weird. It's not how I grew up, and it's not the way I think of fandom necessarily, but I kind of get it, with that side of it. So I think in this case, going back to Jaylen Brown, is if he turns down the Supermax, if he's eligible, it's offered and he turns it down, it's time to think about trading him because then something's off. Things are not going the way anybody wants this to go any longer.
I am not looking forward to the discourse, though, if he doesn't make All NBA. They offer him the extension, he doesn't sign it, and people are going to automatically, well, now you have to shop
Oh,
him.
of
Unless
course.
he says,
Yeah.
I want to see where we're at in a year. And it's not anything,
And
okay,
that's
fine.
different.
But
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to the discourse if he doesn't sign the 30% max because he wants to try and get the 35%
Yeah.
max. Like the discourse, they tried to break Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown up like when they were still good together and like they were both under contract. And so knowing that he'll be entering a contract year and into free agency, I'm not looking forward to that. I almost just want him to make All NBA. And he has a case. I want to make that clear, just so that we don't have to deal with that nonsense. Like we could get it if he doesn't sign the Supermax, okay, then we can really get into it.
It's funny that you're saying this. I don't know if you've seen it, but Shams tweeted maybe I don't know a half hour ago, right after we started recording. He has a sit down interview with Jaylen Brown where he says, "I get why people try to break up duos because so far and he's talking about him and Jason Tatum have been incredibly successful. At this point, we're part of each other's destiny." So it's one of those things where I think
What a
it's
quote.
right. Yeah, I know it's amazing, and I am really at this point. It's like if they want to break up, it's because they want to break up. At no point, I think, are the Celtics going to be like, "Yeah, we got to go a different direction here." Let's turn Jaylen Brown into 5 extra depth pieces. Like that's not going to be the way that goes down. It's only going to be if one of them is, "Hey, I want to go. I want to get out of here," and that may be the way it goes. It's anytime I think I have this league fully figured out and these players fully figured out, somebody surprises me. And that's what we love about it so much, right? Is it's like, man, this went completely differently than what I thought. And I learned a lesson with the Kyrie Irving saga, because I went from cool, Kyrie wants to be a Celtic forever, this is awesome, to what a jerk, Kyrie decides he doesn't want to be here anymore, to well, what else are you going to say in those weird spots? Now, in fairness, he wasn't in an interview. He wasn't asked. He stood up and offered that whole "I'll resign
Yeah.
here and be here." That was him. That was all on him. But in the case where player sits down and they're asked a question about hey, do you want to resign here? Like that's just that's it's impossible for them to say anything but like yeah, I think so. Or, hey, let's see how things go. Like, because if you say yes, everybody's gonna be like, well, Kyrie said that too, and he left, and other players have done that too. And it's like, yeah, and what if the team changes their mind? What if the team's like, well, we still want you, but we want you for less than the max or whatever it is. So I think this is one where I feel the only way you're going to get true honesty is from a player. And maybe it's what we're all looking for is like, nah, I'm out of here. First chance I get, I'm done. Like, get me out of town. I don't want to be here anymore. Then that's a full different story, and that's something else. But I think in this situation, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, we'll figure. Let these guys kind of play it out, and we'll see where it goes.